Welcome to the Sacred Emergence Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Wong, and I'm so thrilled that you're here. This is a place where you'll be guided to living your most aligned life so that your truest, most radiant self can emerge. We'll be jamming on topics ranging from spirituality, entrepreneurship, to wellness and lifestyle design, and everything in between that can support you to grow, evolve, and shine, all the while not taking ourselves too seriously. So if you're ready to step into your leadership, break through limiting beliefs, own all of who you are, and expand in abundance, grab yourself your faith cup of tea and let's dive in. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Sacred Emergence. It is Michelle Wong here, your fearless host, and welcome to a solo episode. So if you are tuning in for the first time, welcome. So happy to have you here. And if you are a returning listener, thank you for being a returning listener and for coming back. So today's episode is going to be a hodgepodge of relevant things in my life that I think might be relevant for you as well, and also have a little announcement that I'm going to make, or at least a hint of an announcement that I'll make towards the end of the episode. And so I'm recording this on a beautiful Saturday in Seattle. I think Seattle weather, like the summer of Seattle, has finally hit because we have a lot of sunshine in the forecast, which I'm so excited because we are already past middle of July and it's been touch and go. And if you know Seattle, like we typically get 9 months of rain on and off, and summer is the best time to be in Seattle. So I love the Seattle summer. I like to be in Seattle during the summer, and so I'm like expecting the sunshine. Not the rain, but sunshine. But anyway, so if you at all have been following me on social media, and if we are not connected on social media, let's change that. Facebook and Instagram are my go-to places. But if you have been following me, you'll know that I've been doing 366 days of Facebook Lives. And today I just completed 222 of my Facebook Live. So I'm, 222 days in. And it's crazy how, honestly, they just flow. Now it just flows. And initially I was like, I don't even know how I'm going to get through like 100 days. But now that I'm in it, it's like clockwork. Super fun. Sometimes I don't want to do it. Sometimes I forget. I've forgotten twice. And but then I just keep going. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. And it's really around commitment to the decisions that we make. Even though sometimes like long after we've made the commitment, it's really easy to toss in the towel. And one of the reasons why I love doing, Facebook Live commitment, for example, like 366 days because 2020 is a leap year, is because first of all, I'm accountable, right? Like I'm showing up online every day. And then there's something that I have to talk about. So it makes me more aware of what's going on in my life. I start to live more intentionally. And then another challenge I took on in the beginning of July is 30 days of selfies. And this is not my own challenge. It's something that I purchased from a photographer, and I'm having so much fun with it. And initially I was like, do I have more time to commit to another quote unquote challenge. But I decided to say yes to it because, I am active on social media. And how many selfies of just me taking a photo of myself do we need? So these selfies, it's by Paula Ivy's Selfography, that's what she calls it. They are really like creative ways to take photos of yourself. So it's not necessarily like me taking a photo of me, but it's also like very creative ways. And so it's not just an up close shot of myself. So it makes it really fun. It makes it interesting. And I know that people who connect with me on social media, they get to see something fun, and it pushes me outside of my comfort zone. And that's the whole point of me doing these challenges. It requires me to step up. I am now publicly accountable and I'm committed. And it's so easy to fall short on our commitment when there's nobody watching us. And this is where inner leader comes in, because what do we do when no one's watching, right? If nobody is watching me on Facebook or on Instagram or whatever, would I still show up to do it? And the answer for me is yes, because I committed and I honor my word. And this is really around what inner leadership is all about. This is really for me what becoming like a growth and courage catalyst is all about. It's, do we have the courage and the conviction to follow through on our words? And, courage is one of those things where it's less about necessarily like, yes, it is moving past fear, but courage can come in so many different ways. And with me, when I think about courage, it is the commitment to showing up, to feeling alive when we do things outside our comfort zone. And yeah, it is pushing past fear, but a big part of it is, how do we honor our word? And if that is important to us, then we are going to show up no matter what. And of course, it's not about perfection. It's really around, falling, getting back up, and continuing to move through. And I mention that because I'm just more aware of, like, now that I have these two things that I'm doing, and then I decided to add one more for myself, it keeps me very much intentional. And so I shared today that I'm committed to doing 30 days of breath work. And this is actually for my own process. It's for my own healing. And it's really around just, courage is not just doing the thing that's uncomfortable. It is like maybe like pushing through the fears, but it's also, courage is a willingness to be with the discomfort of our feelings, of our emotions, right? It's being willing to sit with the things that might not always be joyful, incredibly uncomfortable, and are we open to being with it? And so when I did my breath work this morning, for those of you who have been listening to me, or even if you're new, I interviewed one of my favorite yoga teachers and breathwork facilitators, Josephine Edmondson. She is episode 3, I believe. She shares her journey with yoga and breathwork, but I love doing her virtual breathworks. And so she, after like a 6-7 week hiatus, she's returning back to offering them online. And so I did one this morning, and you can totally check her out if you're interested. It's donation based, josephineedmondson.com. And during the breath work, I decided that I was going to commit to it because it was so good for me. And this is one of those commitments where there's really nothing much for me to show up online for, except it's for me. It's simply for me. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about really briefly that I so resonated with is, with breath work, allowing our body to process the emotions. Sometimes we get in our head about things. We want to analyze things. We really we get all into like the mentalness of it all. Where sometimes like just processing our emotions, whether it's grief, sadness, or just simply gratitude, like all of that, we can allow our body to process it and trust our body's wisdom. And I love breath work because it's actually a part of deconditioning. If we talk about human design, it's a great way to decondition from all of the shoulds and the way that we've been brought up by culture, by family, by society that actually doesn't really serve us. And so when we're able to use breath work to clear our emotions or the stuck points and all of that, it allows us to show up with more courageousness, with more willingness to continue to move forward. And so I added breath work and just to my own well-being and my own self-care, but I shared it publicly. And so now I'm going to do it. And so all of that said is, sometimes it can be daunting to commit to something because, do we trust ourselves? Do we trust ourselves enough to be willing to put action behind our words, right? And this is very similar to resolutions, like New Year's resolutions. And I say that there is so much power to committing to something, even if it's just for a week, and then doing our best to do it. And let's just say during the week you fell off the wagon and you're like, darn it, I missed day 3. It doesn't mean you give up altogether. It means you continue, right? Then it's going to take you 8 days to complete the task and not 7. And that's what happened to me during my 366 days of lives. I started on December 1st of 2019, so last year. And somewhere in December, I totally forgot to do it. Like I thought I did it and I forgot to do one of my lives. And the next morning I was like, oh my God, I really forgot. And then I paused because I was like, well, I'm still in my first month. Do I start from scratch or do I just continue moving forward? And let's just say, it was day 22 that I missed. It could have been day 21. Let's just say it was day 22 that I missed. Then technically on day 33, I did day 22 and I continued to move forward. And then it happened again, right? I forget what day it was. It might have been like day 100 something. I forgot again. And I was like, like I literally forgot. And I was like, okay, I called myself out and then I showed up anyway. And that is what it means to stick with things, taking messy action. And it's not about perfection. And it's really about committing to ourselves, committing to our words. And I have a sticky note on my wall in front of my desk that I might have shared with you, but it says, I am a sure bet. It actually says I am a good bet, but what I am planning to do is say sure bet, not just a good bet. I am a sure bet. Like I am worth the investment. And even if I falter on a day or two, or like, actually, I really need a rest, like I'm not feeling well, I really need to take a break, it will be done with intention. And so with that said, I wanted to share that because us honoring our word is huge when it comes to inner leadership, right? How do we lead our lives? Are we intentional with our words? And yeah, there are going to be moments where you're not going to feel it. You're going to come up with all the excuses to back out, and your brain is going to talk you out of things. Fear is going to kick in. The itty bitty shitty committee is going to come up and say, "Oh, you should just quit. You already missed a day. Like, why even bother? Like, you committed to 366 days. You messed up. Don't even bother." Or your selfie challenge. You skipped a day. It was raining outside. You skipped it, so let's just toss in the towel and let's just do it when it feels good. And there were moments of that when I was doing my selfie challenge, like the very first day. I remember it was a gray, cloudy day in Seattle. I had to wear my jacket and I was like, oh, it is so cold. I literally turned around to go back home. I'm like, I'll just start tomorrow. Like nobody's really watching me. I'm just going to start tomorrow. And technically July 1st is tomorrow anyway. And the lady who hosts it, Paula Ivy, she lives in Australia. So for her, she's already a day ahead. So I was like, nah, I'm just going to go home. And the moment I turned around to walk towards my home, something else kicked in. And it was like, Michelle, just walk to the spot you were thinking about and then decide. Like, let's just take a few steps towards the towards the path, towards where I was planning to go. And then we'll decide. Like, let's just enjoy a walk first. So I was like, okay. And literally by the time I got to my spot, I was already warmed up because, I got all warm from walking. And I was like, I'm just going to do it. I'm already here. And yeah, it was uncomfortable. Somebody walked by and started laughing when she saw what I was doing. I had my phone in the middle of this little cul-de-sac driveway. And I was like, I hope no car decides to run over my phone. None of that happened. And it was a little bit awkward, but it was fun. And I shared it on Facebook and everybody loved it. And so it's one of those things where sometimes our brain is going to talk us out of things. And we just need to be mindful of what is it trying to talk us out of? Is it trying to talk us out of being our most magical self because it's uncomfortable and we might make a fool of ourselves? But I felt so alive after doing that. And so it's really about committing. And so with that said, I mentioned in the beginning of this episode that I have a little fun announcement. I have not shared it. I've dropped hints on Facebook and a little bit on Instagram. But I have something that is coming that I'm dropping on August 1st. And it's around commitment. It's around courage. And later on this week, I will be announcing what it is. And I have not shared this with everybody in my membership group, The Courage Collective. But if any of you ladies are listening, you have access to it for free because it is related to courage, and I wanted to offer a little bit of a bonus for all you ladies. And it's just it's around commitment, it's around courage, and it's about showing up. I will share those things. And then this week, I will be dropping and sharing the announcement, but it's going to be super fun. So stay tuned for I'm going to create another episode either next week or later on this week that will give you more details. But it's going to be really fun, and it's really about going deeper with the work of showing up, doing the thing, and really aligning with our goals, our actions, and our visions, and getting outside our comfort zone. So I will say that much. Anyway, if this episode resonated with you, please share it. You can do a little snapshot on Instagram. And I always, always, always love hearing from my listeners. I love getting messages, and you can DM me on Instagram. You can do a private message, or you could do a public shout out. I love it. And I'm just so, so grateful. So summer right now, I'm having a banging summer and more to come. And that's it for now. Today's a short episode. I trust that you are having a beautiful week, evening, night, wherever you're at, and stay tuned for more. Cheers. Join our free private Facebook group community, Sacred Emergence, to receive more connection, guidance, and support, and take part in our 5-day Inner Confidence Challenge to not only boost your confidence, but to help activate your inner leadership. Details in the show notes. Thank you for listening to the Sacred Emergence podcast. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and thank you in advance for sharing this with others who can benefit. Until next time.